Jason already told me he wasn't. And I said, city manager, will you tell him he has to go?
Yeah, I mean, it was him trying to force his, so Dave just looks at me and smiles and said, yeah, you have to go. I'm like,
I just used manager to override the city attorney. Hey, get two, eh? All right. I can brought warm water. Mix it some. Are you still up at the dam up there? You still working? Or Central Utah? Yeah.
he's still working on the dam up there.
We had something to do with the water. I can't remember what he did. Yes.
Their office is way, it's like in the mouth of the canyon now, isn't it? Your office?
The bomb went off. It does. We don't. Yeah, we sold it.
Recording in progress.
Thank you for being here. This is a special meeting of the city council. We had to cancel last Wednesday. We did not have a quorum. Today is June 8th, 2022, and the time is 6:30. We have just returned from a tour of the downtown area and have listened to some architectural information about the planned new streetscape. Just to let all those know that are here or online know what we had done prior to this meeting. I'll go ahead and it's listed on the agenda as the work session. So I'll go ahead and open this meeting with prayer, and then I've asked Brett Christensen, our city councilman, to lead us in the pledge. Our Father in heaven, as we come before thee this time, we are eternally grateful for all the many blessings that thou hast provided to us and to those that live here in this Payson city. We're thankful for the blessings that are here for us. Father, we are thankful for the responsibility that has been given to us to help run this city, along with the staff of our city and employees. We're asking thy help to help us to make good decisions that will do well for the future of this city and its citizens. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brett. We'll go on to C, the consent agenda. Approval of the May 18th, 2022 City Council minutes. Resolution, agreement with Verico Impact regarding consulting services. Those are the two that are on the consent agenda. If there's no discussion of those, I'm ready for a motion.
Can I ask how long we're going to continue to have the consultant?
You bet. Dave?
Yeah, we're asking to renew it for one more 6-month period to try to get financing to remodel that building downtown and then the transition
To Brian.
Yeah. And he, Wynn is, obligated himself, and we obligated him to find the financing. So that's what we wanted to continue. Okay. And then I'm ready for a motion if there's no other questions.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the the consent agenda of May 18th, 2022.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. Roll call vote. Council Christensen,
Yes.
Council Carter,
Yes.
Council Prosgaard,
Yes.
and Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we're going to D, petitions, public forum. Anyone can speak on items not on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. We'll go ahead and open that public forum. Not seeing anyone here that would like to take that opportunity. Is there anybody online, Kim? Okay. In light of that, we'll go ahead and close the public forum and move on to E, action items. Number one, ordinance Thompson Family Home Zone change located at 1285 West Utah Avenue from R1A Residential Agriculture Zone to BPD Business Park Development Zone. Michael?
So this is a relatively simple request. Previously, the property adjacent to this was changed the zoning, and this property is approximately 0.89 acres. And they're just requesting the zone change to be the same as the adjacent property that was most recently changed. You can see some of this information about the property there, the approximate address, the parcel number. City or Planning Commission had a work session on the 13th, as well as moved a positive recommendation to the City Council on this project. So this is the property. You can see the parcel to be changed is that's circled there. You can see that home. So circled in red there on the screen in the top corner, that kind of the cutout portion of the Utah shape, that's the portion that would be getting changed. Oh, excuse me, I was wrong. Backtrack. That's the portion that's being changed.
The one in the yellow?
The one in the yellow, yes. And they would request the business park development zone. It is consistent with the land use map and the future land use map and the general plan. And so staff would recommend making this zoning designation change. So that's pretty much what I have on that, unless anyone has any questions on it.
Doesn't look like there's any questions. Pretty straightforward. In light of no council discussion, I'm ready for a motion.
I just have a quick question.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I know that this is all headed that direction, but I know there's still some houses there. I mean, are those looking like they're ever gonna go, or are they just holding out? I mean, it's still, will there be 2 houses left there? 3 left?
Yeah.
Yeah,
One's
so there's
farther
a-
set
there's a
back,
few
right?
Here.
And then the one right on the
some under
corner.
there.
I mean, if they want to stay there, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I
just was
don't have
curious
an
with
answer
their-
for that. I mean, we haven't received any requests on those, so I couldn't answer that.
It's all owner driven.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna move on it until the owner requests. Mayor, I'd make a motion, if that's all right,
Okay, you bet.
that we approve the zone change from R1A Residential Agricultural Zone to the BPD, the Business Park Development Zone, as requested.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion been seconded. Roll call vote, starting with Council Hyatt.
Yeah.
Council Prosgaard,
Aye.
Council Carter,
Yes.
and Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Moving on to number 2, final plat approval of the Evolve Twin Home Estates on 110 South, 300 West. Mike, you're up again.
If it'll let me change it.
That address sounded kind of familiar.
The old park ward.
I know.
Yep.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
gone.
It's dirt.
You missed the discussion the other night, Mayor, on this.
And I'm sorry I did, but I heard about it. But I think it went the right way.
I missed it too.
So I have to stop sharing to reshare.
Oh, those scary people. It's the council.
Here we go. So this is familiar, I'd imagine, with most recent decisions made at the prior city council meeting. So this is the old church property that's approximately about a block and a half to the west of here. They came in here for their preliminary approval with the intent to actually get final approval, but it wasn't listed on the agenda. And so that's why they are on the agenda now, is to get final plat approval. So I'll just kind of breeze through this since you're pretty familiar with this, but this is the lot configuration and the plat map here. This is what the home products would look something like. And as just a refresher, it's a 9-lot subdivision, 3 single-family homes and 6 total twin home units. They have the RMO 2-family residential overlay already been approved. It's in that R275 zone, approximately 1.53 acres. We had the public hearing already, and council, like I said, already approved the preliminary plan at last meeting. So staff recommends the final plat to be approved for the Evolved Twin Home Estates.
Thank you for that description, Mike. Unless there's council discussion, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the final plats for the Evolved Twin Home Estates at 110 South, 300 West.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion been seconded. Roll call vote, starting with Council Christensen,
Yes.
Council Carter,
Yes.
Council Prosgaard,
Yes.
and Council Hyatt.
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion carries. Oh, yes.
I did.
Yeah. Moving on to number 3, final plat approval of the Black Hawk subdivision at 1600 South, 1080 West. Again, Mike.
This is also a pretty simple request. This is the site with these 3 parcels here. You can see the parcel numbers there that they are requesting as part of this subdivision final plat. Approximately the location at 1600 South and 1100 West. This is the subdivision plat. There's 2 drawings there. I wanted to make sure that you saw both drawings if you wanted to actually see them. So the smaller one is the front page of the plat, but this is what the layout of the lots would be on those parcels.
But they are all just single family homes, right?
Yes. So total 26 lot subdivision, approximately 11 or 110 South, 300 West. Total acreage.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the previous.
Yep.
Yeah.
We already said yes.
Scratch that, scratch bullet point number 2. The rest is true.
Typo.
You passed, congratulations. You saw it.
So approximately 12.67 acres. And they're requesting the combination of the R19, R110, and the R120 zone designations as part of this. Preliminary plan approval has already been granted back in February. And so this is just for the final plat approval. And staff recommends a positive recommendation for this to be approved.
Can I ask a question, Mayor?
Yeah, please do.
Kurt or John, the frontage is on those smaller lots? Are they, they fit the zone? Yes? You guys were okay with that? Okay.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'm ready for a motion.
They look like small lots, but when
But
you
it's a
look at
large
it,
parcel.
yeah,
It
and
is.
so we're looking at, oh, these are just little itty bitty things, but I think they're actually big.
I didn't get a chance to look at the
I'm
front.
still kind of confused where it is.
The foot
geographically.
frontage on it.
Yeah,
Can you
explain
go
where
back to
this,
the plat, Mike?
Yes, give me a moment. I'm going to pull it up, the actual
Yeah.
plat, so that
Good.
you can see a larger scale of
Okay.
it.
Who's talking? Really?
Somebody behind us. Oh, yeah, it's out there.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Oh, this is over behind the temple then. Is that where we're looking?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, behind the.
Yeah, I
temple.
remember this.
Yep, I do too.
These are bigger lots.
Yeah, so it looks like the smaller lots are just over a 1/5 acre. So pretty good sized lots.
Yep. Okay. I remember that now.
Okay.
I just had to put it,
That's been a long time ago.
yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Okay, then, don't believe there's any further discussion, accept the motion.
Mayor, I'd make a motion that we approve the Blackhawk. Linda, are you gonna do that?
No, go ahead.
No, you
I'll let
do.
you
You've
second.
started. I'll
You
second
started,
it.
she'll finish.
Okay. I will make a motion that we approve the Blackhawk subdivision at 1600 South, 1080 West as platted.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and been seconded, roll call vote, starting with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Prosgard,
Yes.
Council Carter,
Yes.
and Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. I guess we are to number 4, which is to ask a number of questions of the candidates to fulfill, to fill Brian Hewlett's resignation effective May 16th. The notes here shows that Christine Dalton withdrew. And it looks like Mike Hardy and Kathy will be online. I see that Kepe Hemuli is online as well. Okay, thank you, number 1, to apply for applying for this opening, and we will proceed with the questions. We have, looks like 8 questions. And how we'll proceed is we have an order that we'll follow. I'll go through that real quickly. The first person will ask these questions to will be Kirk Beecher. Then Mike, you're online, you're next. Then Kepi Hemuli, Kathy Marzon, and Jim Rowland, Gail Skousen, and Lacey Smith. What we will do also in order to get each one of you to answer a question first, we'll go through this order, and then we'll ask the next question to Mike Hardy and all the way through, and then come back.
Mayor, could I,
You bet, please.
I got an email from Lacey that said that she could start. Lacey, are you here? Yeah. But she has to leave.
Oh, okay, good.
It won't.
Okay, we're not too late, are we?
So can we go?
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's move her up front since she had to leave, but
We don't have to do that.
No.
We're okay.
Yep.
All right.
Mayor, can we have them all come up front?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
please
have
come
it.
on up if you would. Can't do that to you guys online, but we're doing it to them here.
There.
then sit on the front row there.
Yeah, just sit on the front row.
They sat on the front row.
I don't think so. How many do you want to ask? Take a
I
look
just
at it.
want to ask one question. I think if each one of us.
One of each question?
Yep.
Okay. So we just, do they have to be the same question? I mean,
I don't think so.
a little bit of a change in the format, candidates. I believe the council would like to ask just one question of each of you. And I'll leave it to the council which one they ask, right?
Whoever starts can pick.
So there'll be one question from each of us, is that? Okay. Wonderful. Okay, Kirk, we'll go ahead and have Council Hyatt ask you the first question. Are you prepared?
Yeah, because I wrote my own, but
Oh.
I'm trying to figure out
That-
which one it went.
Okay. Oh, yes, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kirk.
Kirk Beecher. I work for Central Utah Water. Been there for 22 years. I'm currently on the Planning Commission. Serve as the chair right now of the Planning Commission. And I've done that for over 8 years. So my wife and I have been here for, what have we been here? 15 years almost. So in Payson. So till a little while ago, we had lots of grandkids running around our house, but we got rid of them. Not, we didn't get rid of them, but we no longer have to take care of them.
Jim, go ahead.
I'm Jim Rowland. I'm probably the newbie of the group here. I moved to Payson 18 months ago from a much bigger city in Kissimmee, Florida, outside Disney World. But I grew up in a Payson-like town in upstate New York, just outside of Syracuse. And my roots are strong. I love the hometown feel of Payson and the small town. So my wife and I are empty nesters. We've got 2 grandbabies up the road and 3 kids around town. And I'm in the promotional products industry. I help companies brand their companies and produce uniforms and all types of different promotional products, and happy to be here.
I'm here. One of you guys-
Go ahead. We'll take care of the ones in that, but we'll go back to the list as we ask the question.
All right. Gail Skousen, I'm a retired family practice physician. We've lived here about 12 years now, and I stay pretty busy helping a friend with a business. One of my colleagues scoffed at me when I told him what I was doing now. I'm actually a software salesman at this point, and do that when I feel like it, and otherwise take care of other business activities with family, and enjoyed Payson immensely.
My name is Lacey Smith, and I've lived in Payson since 2016. I live here with my husband and 3 children, and for, I guess, since everyone's sharing their career, I am a senior international accountant, and then I do real estate also. And I love Payson, and I don't have much more, so you'll hear more.
Okay, Mike, would you introduce to us yourself to us, Mike Hardy?
It's on mute.
You're on mute, Mike.
How about now?
Better.
Okay, good. I'm Mike Hardy. I wish I could be with you all tonight, but had this last week, went on a vacation with kids, grandchildren and their parents down in Florida at the Disney World, and they gave me COVID. So that was a nice gift that they gave me. So I didn't think I should be there and maybe possibly infect everybody. I've lived here since 2003, became very active because I consider this place my home, became very active in the chamber, served as the chamber president for 3 years, was on the planning commission for about 3 years, and then been on the council once before from 2010 to 2018. Payson's a great place to live. I'm interested in the economic growth, making sure that we can have affordable housing, yet preserving our green space as much as possible. Water conservation is a very important topic for us, and as well as rehabilitating Main Street. Main Street, you can see that I've got the Hewish as my background, is been one of my passions since we first came here. And of course, there's transportation and recreation that we need to make sure we're on top of.
Thank you, Mike.
Hi, I'm
Kepi,
sorry. Hi,
go
I'm
ahead.
Kepi. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Kepi.
Kepi Haymuli, been here in Payson since 2000. Have done a lot of things just at the schools where my kids have attended, volunteering at Parkview, Spring Lake, Mount Nebo Junior, Payson Junior, and Payson High School. Currently still employed with Zions Bank. Sorry I couldn't be with you. I was delivering food to a group painting a house up in Salt Lake. And I've just helped out wherever I could, and am honored to be considered for the open position for city council. I have a wife with 4 kids, and I'm originally from New York City, and so I have a vision of larger as well as small towns. So I'm anxious to try to help out where I can.
Kathy, I guess you're up. She's not online. Okay. Okey-doke. Then with those introductions, and thank you for those introductions, we'll proceed with the first questions to Kirk Beecher, and we'll have Council Hyatt ask that.
What do you believe is the single most compelling issue facing Payson City?
Did you say the single most compelling issue is how to manage growth and make sure that we can get it in the right way? We need a tax base. We need to be able to work with people that want to develop and grow in and come into the city. We need to manage the growth that is going to come to this part of the valley. We need to be able to be a part of that and not exclude it, but we also need to keep the hometown feel that we still have.
How do we keep that hometown feeling? That was the other part of my question.
Yeah, that was the other part of your question.
Yeah.
Well, that's the hard part, Teresa. That's the real hard part is how do we keep that? That's something we're going to have to work on together. I think all of us in the whole city is to make things work that are right for the city, right for the residents here, because not one size does not fit all with everybody. We're not like Vineyard that needs townhome after townhome after townhome, but we're also not to where we need 5-acre lots for everybody, because it just that isn't accessible. That isn't work for everybody. So we need a good mix of things. And so we've got to work together to make sure that mix is right. We spend a lot of time on the general plan and that working that out and trying to get input from the citizens as to where different kinds of activities and housing and businesses and that should be. And I think we need to stick with that and use that as our guidance to make it work. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're the one asking.
No, is that what you said? Does that answer your question?
I got a cheap shot for you. Outside of growth, what is the most compelling issue?
Water.
Why?
Water is lifeblood. It's what we have to have, period. We have to have water. And that's partially because that's where I work, but also because we cannot be who we are without water, period.
What is your vision then of obtaining water?
We've got to utilize the existing sources we have. We've got to conserve. We've got to develop new sources. We've got to develop new avenues. there's been some good avenues of getting additional water. And we can't be afraid to spend some money on making water available. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but we've got to be willing to spend some money on some of those kind of things. So,
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and ask you this question, Kurt. Why do you want to be on the Payson City Council, and why is serving on the city council important to you?
well, as I said, I served I've been serving and continue to serve right now on the planning commission, and I've enjoyed the interaction with the city, with the staff, with the council, with others. I enjoy being a part of helping to make something good for others to follow in and to have, for our children and grandchildren to enjoy, to have. I enjoy being a part of that. I'm a civil engineer by trade. I enjoy planning. I enjoy designing things. I enjoy working and making things happen. And this is a good way to do that, in my opinion.
Thank you. Linda?
I couldn't tell. That's what you said. Okay, if selected, how do you plan on involving the citizens of Payson in the decision-making process?
I think that there's been good history of that in what we've done in the past is to use social media, to use other avenues besides just the town hall meeting in the building here. And so I think that all of those things that we've done and then expand on them is a good way to get the citizens involved. I was pleasantly survived when we were doing the general plan and that, of how people got involved and the different methods that was. And I enjoyed doing that. And so I think that's a good way to continue. I don't think we need to fix something that's not broken.
Thank you.
All right, Kirk, what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member? Your pet project per se.
My pet project, I don't really have a pet project. I would like to see Payson to continue to grow and develop, to be a place that people want to be at, to be a place that is important for everybody to live in and to enjoy. And if we had a Home Depot, that'd be great too. I'm tired of driving to Provo for Home Depot. So
duly noted.
You have to leave a little bit, but not too far to go to work. Right?
I don't go very far to work.
I thought that's a good thing. Maybe I misunderstood the comment, but
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Kurt? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Mike Hardy online if we could. That's what our schedule is saying. So we'll move on to Mike Hardy and turn the time over to Council Hyatt.
Mike, what do you believe is the single most compelling issue facing Payson City?
I didn't quite hear that. Could you repeat that? Be a little bit louder.
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
What do you believe is the single most compelling issue facing Payson City?
I think the most compelling issue is managing the growth. Having lived here since 2003, I saw Payson before it really has started to grow. There was some changes happening when I came, but that's always been the problem, managing the growth and balancing that off with water. Water is a very important asset that we have and a resource that we need to be remanaging carefully. I have a lawn outside right now that's burning up and maybe down the line things are going to change and we won't have as many lawns and stuff like that. And that's all going to be part of the discussion. So that's one thing that's really important.
So how do we keep the hometown feeling?
Well, I think downtown, I've been involved with Main Street and with the Hewish, and I think that having that kind of an atmosphere downtown will help us keep some of that. Some of it's going to change just with the size that they're projecting Payson to grow to. So we have to just be very careful that we balance off the growth with making sure that we keep that feeling that is here and that we all love so much.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, I'd like to focus on budget for just a minute. You've, as being a past council member, you spent some time with the budget and made priorities. What would be your priorities in a budgeting year? What would be your number one and number two priorities as far as funding it within our budget?
The number one priority for me would be making sure that we provide the opportunity for our citizens to have recreation here in the city. You know, we have a swimming pool that has really been a nice asset for us. I think we need to be looking at the other things we can do to make sure that we keep that asset in place and working for us. Like the change that happened with the pickleball courts, I think we need to be thinking very seriously about how we can do other things to make sure that all that happens. The economic growth that continues to come our way means I think we have to be very careful about zoning questions. During the earlier part of the year, I'd not been to Santa Quin for a long time, and I drove down there and I couldn't believe the growth that's happened. And we need to make sure that we're managing that type of growth.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Kirk. Why do you have served on the city council before, Mike? And I don't know whether you served 1 term or 2 terms, but why do you want to serve on the city council again? And why is serving on the city council important to you?
I like having an opportunity to represent the citizens and to give them the opportunity through me to voice their concerns. That was the part that I really liked about being on the council before that, and economic development. And I think that is how I can be of help, because I have more time than I did when I was working. And that's one reason I was interested in this, because I have a little bit more time to spend where I could spend time on behalf of the city and could go about doing a lot of good things.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mike, what 3 words would other members of the governing board and the organization here use to describe you? Your participation on that board or your leadership style?
Okay, 3 words. I would say collaborative. Number 1, I feel government is something that we do together, and that we need to be very concerned about all points of view. And I think sometimes I think you see it in the national government that they've become one issue people. And whereas when we live in a city this size, we need to be talking to each other and making sure that we're representing the people. Compassionate, I think, is another word. I love Payson. I love the lifestyle we have. I want to preserve it, but at the same time, you know, there are other people that want to come here. So we need to be willing to make sure that the growth that happens doesn't take us away from those core virtues that Payson is. And diligent, I guess, is the last word I would use. When I see an issue, I feel that it's very important that I be diligent in exploring all the alternatives, all the ways that we could go about solving problems or helping citizens to enjoy the maximum that they can enjoy.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
All right, Mike. having been already on for 8 years, what do you think that you could do different and hope to accomplish this time around?
You know, being on the city council in some respects is kind of restraining. There are only certain things that you can do. I think again, having the time to show a little bit more leadership as far as, I was bouncing a lot of balls the last time I was on the council, and at times that got in the way. But I feel that I'm able to talk with our citizens, be concerned about everybody's concerns, and make sure that I reflect that in what we do and plan for the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We'll move on to Kepe. Hey, Muley. Go ahead, Teresa. Yeah, he's on.
Okay. What do you believe is the single most compelling issue facing Payson right now?
Teresa, to me, it's communication and transparency, making sure that the citizens know what is the vision of the city council, and not what social media deems as things that, we should all be focusing on, and getting that word out so people understand what we are in the midst of doing in order to help the citizens of Payson.
Okay, how do we keep the hometown feeling?
Oh, keep having that parade, keep having the Scottish festival, having the salmon supper, and apologies to Janine Moore not telling all of Facebook to go order their tickets early. I became very familiar with her when I did that. And all I was trying to do is say, don't get on Facebook the week before and go, are there any tickets left? I mean, just order. If you have money, spend it now, and just know that you are going to be online at 6:30 getting corn from me and a baked potato.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Cappy, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hey, we as a council are focusing on that hometown feel. And with that said, we have centered our focus of attention currently in discussions on how we can make our downtown Main Street seem more of a focal point. What would be your vision of what we could do downtown Main Street to make it more attractive and bringing people not only from within our community, but from outside the boundaries of our community to more of a destination place?
And you're going to see this theme from me. It's food. Yummy Thai being on Main Street is great. And again, we're talking about the times when, somebody's not filming a movie right on Main Street. Anything that we can do to have more sandwich shops and places, even like Heidi Malloy's place, right? Someone who has invested and wants to have candles that I have to walk in there as a husband and look at and say, could you point out one for my wife that she would like? So things that bring more businesses like that, and having enough food options for everybody that comes to Payson, that goes to the temple, or just comes after they're finished at the Scottish festival, or before they go to Onion Days, stuff like that, just to supplement what we already have here. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Kepe, I'm torn between a couple questions here, but I think I'll go with a follow-up question that I thought of as you were talking to Council Hyatt. You talked about openness and making sure that everybody knows what's going on. I guess I would ask you, how does that happen? We do our best to try to make sure that people are engaged and want to be part of the planning of the city. How would you do that differently than maybe what we're doing now?
So this is a two-part answer. Here's the first part. I would do what Doug Welton was doing when he was on city council, which is answering the questions on the Facebook page. as quick as he could read them and have an answer which is cleared by the council on what to do. Second one is more involvement of people. I'll give you some numbers. 725. That's the number of people that we got to sign up to help do food for the Temple Open House. 625, the number of people we got to help with the Spring Lake Elementary School fundraiser when it first opened. 450, the number of people that we cooked for the Republican Lincoln Day luau in 2016, including our governor and Senator Lee. 300, the number of Eagle Scouts that we helped board in 3 years before the church got out of Boy Scouts of America. And 124 choir kids that we took to Orlando in February. We're just here to say, I'm here to help you to make your time here valuable. And I'm also here to get more people involved. And I feel like, and again, you vote for me, you really vote for my wife as well, because she's the hidden weapon when it comes to getting people involved. But I'm the only one that's able to be interviewed tonight. So I hope that answers your question, or if I've been disqualified for throwing out too many numbers.
No, you're fine. Thank you.
Okay, what 3 words would an organizing board that you've worked with, how would they describe you and what you do?
So here's the first word, punctual, which is unusual for a Tongan, for a Polynesian. I was born in Boston and moved to New York, and we learned if you're not on the 707 train, you are missing it. So punctuality or being early is very important to me. Second of all is inclusiveness. When we had all the scouts that came out, we tried not to scare them when they came for their Eagle board, saying, don't worry about Bob Proscard. He's actually a nice guy. Bob the Builder is great. If you have any problems with anyone, as long as you know the oath and the law, you will pass tonight. This is a formality. And we just try to make people feel comfortable. And then third, organizational skills. For all of these numbers that I've thrown out at you, they're all part of calendaring, to be able to think ahead and say, what are we going to have to do in order to put our best foot forward to make the time that we have for any particular activity worthwhile and include some food to help them feel a part of what we love about what we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Kepe, you talk a lot about food. How are you going to keep me skinny if you get up on this council?
I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, if you go to the YSA,
no, it has to happen. I've already gone down the other road. No.
Okay, good. Then you're going to just get vegetables with Parmesan cheese. Everybody else will get brisket and Hawaiian chicken. You can just have a straight diet of vegetables.
I've seen them feed cows just vegetables and they don't stay skinny, so I don't believe you. All right.
Yeah, well,
I always like to, I mean, they're shaking up the questions a little bit, but I do like to see some people come with an agenda and what their pet projects are. And it's always good to just hear them. So,
is that your question?
Yeah. What do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
Well, one thing is to ride in the parade and show the citizens of Payson that a transplant from Boston, Massachusetts is here to help them feel more a part of the group that's already here and continue to support them. And the other side is trying to help what we can about hunger. I love that little, and I only call it little because I'm a New York kid, that the little cabinet that's outside of the city area. I'd love to see that bigger, because I know on a Sunday, there are people that are probably going to come over there that I will just take what I have in my pantry and just take over there and help people have more food when they are too embarrassed to stand in front of Smith's and ask for money. So the parade and having, and third, just involvement. I can try as much as I can to say, let's make Payson just as good as you heard before and better. And so think bigger. Everything we do, at least I get involved in, I just go, let's think bigger. But keep the small town feel of it. So thank you, Brett.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Kathy, you're with us, so thank you for being here. Would you take some time, Kathy, just to introduce yourself a little bit to all of us?
Sure, I'd love to do that. My name's Kathy Marzan. I grew up in Springville and spent all but 3 years of my life living in Utah, mostly, well, completely in Utah County. My husband and 3 kids and I have been in Payson for 7 years. I'm currently in my 4th year on the Planning Commission. Seeing the growth in Payson, it's been very rewarding, but it's also been challenging trying to balance the growth while keeping the close community feeling that we have in Payson. I've been involved not only with the city, but also with my kids and their activities in Payson schools and recreation. For 2 years, my husband was the marching band booster president, and we helped put on 2 NEBO tournaments, or I think you guys refer to it as the Battle of the Bands. We've been to so many band competitions and practices supporting them. I've helped sew costumes for the junior high theater productions. I've attended so many soccer, basketball, softball, volleyball games through the city. So we love Payson. We love being here. Professionally, I'm a business analyst, senior solution engineer. I work in IT, supply chain, and PLM at Newskin. For the last 14 years, I've worked specifically as a software administrator for product formulation and supply chain management. I work with people in many departments and users worldwide. I've had the opportunity to travel to a few of our markets and observe, analyze processes, implement new and improved processes, train users, build relationships. I've worked to promote process improvement, bridging the gap between business and technology. And all of this has helped me develop critical thinking skills and interpersonal skills. And I believe that these experiences, both on Planning Commission and in my professional life, would help make me an asset to Payson City as a member of the City Council.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. We'll turn some time over to Teresa.
What do you believe is the single most compelling issue facing Payson City?
I only heard Kathy and probably everyone else is saying this, but growth. Having been on the Planning Commission and seeing everything that's been coming to us, and just how do we manage this growth, keeping our hometown feel, it's a challenge.
How do we keep our hometown feeling?
I think I like having the little activities and festivals like the Onion Days and the Scottish Days. And I think when we redo Main Street, having a place to go hang out, like there's been many Friday nights my husband and I have gone to order food, yummy Thai or tapatio, and we just sit out on a bench and wait for our food to get ready and just hang out in downtown. It's pretty nice. So if it was more inviting, more restaurants, more benches, I think it would help bring people in, but also keep that hometown feel.
Thank you.
Kathy, Bob here. What would be your number one priority within the budgeting process of our city?
It was very interesting going through the whole general plan rewrite over the last few years and seeing how much infrastructure issues there are, like how much we need to update the sewer or other infrastructure, the road, and we need to keep the city running so we can have people come, we can grow and support those who are currently here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, Kathy, my question, I'll go back to the original one I had. You're currently on the Planning Commission. Why do you want to make the jump from there to the City Council, and why would it, obviously it is because you've applied, but why is serving on the City Council important to you?
Planning Commission has been really interesting. As we're a recommending body. We can recommend to City Council till we're blue in the face, but City Council, you're the ones who enact changes and make change happen for our city. And so it'd be nice to be one of you and help make the change for Payson.
Thank you.
Okay, Kathy, what do you believe are the 3 greatest strengths of Payson City?
I think the city is dedicated to improving the lives of the residents through infrastructure, through growth, and through our recreation. Payson has the potential to be the hub in South County area. So people will come here, it will be a destination. And I also think we have a sense of community. I love coming to Memorial Park during Scottish festivals and Onion Days. And seeing our community come together.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not as adventurous. I like the good old question. But you kind of answered it because you said, why did you want to be on city council versus planning? And that's because it's the decision making. But is there something you'd like to add to that you want? Why do you want to be on city council?
Just to help guide Payson to grow correctly. Also, I'm a little bit younger than some of you, so maybe represent the younger families in the city.
She just called me old.
No, I think
I was 12 years old too.
Kathy, I'm taking that personal.
So sorry, Linda.
Since I'm the oldest one in the room.
Easy.
You got another, you want to, I got to
No,
follow up.
that's good. You got to follow up.
Yeah, could I just follow up and would you expand on how should the Payson City grow correctly? That was your response, and I'm interested in what you feel is the correct way to grow.
It's a challenge. Like, we have so many high density housing coming in, and it's needed, but I think at this point, maybe we need to cap it and finish what we have in process and keep going with maybe less dense and some infill projects.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, Jim.
Hey,
Roland.
Kim, can you let me in? I'm going to turn my camera around so people can see the candidates that are in the room. Sorry, Kurt. Yeah, I'm going to.
You get to be on stage, Jim, you know.
Now I have
stage fright. Okay, while he's doing that, I'll turn the time over to Teresa and she can ask you the question she has.
Hey, Jim,
Hi, Teresa.
what do you believe is the single most compelling issue facing Payson City?
Seems to be a pretty common theme that growth is the issue. I think what I see here in Payson is that you just feel this wave coming south, and the Payson is fighting so hard to keep a wall up, to keep it away, to keep it homey and the community driven. So without the growth, then we're going to get dormant. And if you're not moving ahead, you're falling behind. So somehow we've got to find a way to grow in a fashion that keeps all these people happy with that hometown feeling.
We're never going to keep everybody happy.
No, not everybody.
Unfortunately.
But it looks like we got a good majority of what everybody wants here, right?
Well, I guess I'm wondering myself, what is a hometown feeling? I mean, because I've seen it in a city of 289,000 people, and I've seen it here. So I really believe it's how you see the growth and how you direct the growth, and you don't just do it, for a year. You put it out 25, 30 years so that okay, I'm preaching now.
Yeah, I think it's ultimately that interaction with the people, right? 280,000 people, they're not all interacting with each other, but where you lived, the group around you interacted consistently and often. And I think that's what Payson has to offer, is that so many different avenues of interaction that builds that joy and that love and that hometown feeling.
Okay, thank you.
Jim, what drew you to Payson?
Well, besides my two adorable grandbabies, 15 minutes up the road, and besides the fact that we couldn't find a house we could afford up in Pleasant Grove, we drifted south until we found an opportunity here in Payson. So it's purely accidental that I'm here. And that's really the bottom line.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Then my follow-up question would be, why are you staying?
Why am I staying? You know,
Besides the grandkids?
yes, just the feeling that I've had everywhere I go, from the store to church to the Salmon Festival, Onion Days, Scottish Festival, all the activities, just walking Main Street, going to Eli's, doing business with the locals. It just feels good. And I just get the sense, I have to tell you about the post office, right? In the post office, I walk into the Payson post office and I'm like first in line. And the person being served is taken care of in like a minute. And I step up to the counter and I'm told each time, I'm sorry you had to wait. Okay. In Florida, you go to the post office, you're out the door and you're lucky to get out of the post office in 40 minutes. So there's something about that, just the love from the postman, right? that just really brings a sense of community and a longing to stay here and be here.
Thank you.
Jim, I believe I'd like to follow up on one of your statements. And then there's a second part, really has something to do with what your answer will be.
Is this a setup?
What's that? If I heard it correctly, you felt like that Payson City was trying to put up a wall and stop the growth. Would you explain that a little bit? And then, because I happen to think we're not.
Yeah.
And then also, why do you want to serve on the city council?
Okay. Yeah, I don't say we're trying to put up a wall. I sense that we all feel that Lehigh and American Fork and Pleasant Grove, that huge growth and massive, lots of homes and businesses. I think we feel that it's inevitable it's going to come this way. So the wall that I may be mentioning is the fact that we still want to stay a hometown community, an adventure community, an outdoor community, and we can't do that if it turns into a Lehigh, say. So my desire is to keep Payson growing so that more people can live here and get employed here, but not become this metropolis. Does that make sense?
Sure. And yeah, you've answered it partly, but why do you want to be on the council?
Yeah, on the council, I mean, I love to be a leader. I'd love to I'm on the Chamber of Commerce Executive Board, and I love the idea of helping support small business. And those are the types of businesses that I think build community, more so than the big box stores, right? We love to have the Home Depot down the road for convenience, but not so much the traffic that it'll create. We love the Ace Hardware. You can get in, get out, and you get service as if, somebody cares about you. So I want to be on the council to be a part of those decisions, to bring my experience living in Kissimmee with 75,000 people and some of the hazards that created. I think I would have a lot of really good insight on maybe some things of what not to do. I may be better to help the council in supplying my opinion on what not to do than maybe on what to do, from that experience.
Thank you.
Okay. One thing that what 3 words would best describe you?
Persistence would be right at the top of the list. I just get things done, right? I'm more of a doer than a visionary guy. So I like assignments and doing, I'm a much better clerk than a bishop. Let's put it that way. I would much rather serve and help others than, than to try to create the plan. So I like the idea of being on the council, that we're implementing, what really the planning and zoning and the community wants. We're going to try to figure out how to implement that. So
How do you recommend getting citizens involved? And there's some nights that we have council meeting that we might have 5 citizens from Payson here,
Like tonight.
and that's it, how would you get them involved?
There's got to be something happening that they can do. So I don't know exactly what that is, but there's got to be something that they can do, because we all have an opinion, right? You look on Facebook, everybody's got an opinion. But if there's nothing specific to be done, then you tend not to get the volunteers. Kepi? He had mentioned all the people that were involved with different activities. So to somehow get those volunteers, and I think it's the communication that's the challenge. How do you communicate with people anymore, right? A third of the people maybe are on Facebook. I personally like the newsletter in the utility bill. That's where I get most of my information from. Some people just go to the website. There's so, it's just not a newspaper that shows up on the front step that tells you the whole story. We struggle with that with the chamber. How do we communicate with our members to let them know of all the things going on? And it's a struggle. I don't have an answer, but I would like to figure out a way to get that communication out there.
Thank you.
And the other 2 words I would say are reliable and trustworthy.
Okay, thank you.
I think he answered my question. Do I have to ask?
No, you don't have to, if you're satisfied.
Come on.
Okay,
Brad.
we'll move on.
Do you have a pet project, Jim?
Oh, there you go. That's a good one. Let me just tell you, with 75,000 people, the biggest frustration and the thing that creates more anger in people are the roads. So I would do anything in my power on the council to keep the roads wider than the people. So whatever foresight it takes, keep those roads bigger than the people. It seems in Florida, all they did was wait till there was so many people on the road before they did the construction. And now are you not only overcrowded with people on the road, you're stuck in the middle of construction. So this construction out here, this traffic flows beautiful. I am sure many citizens are beyond frustrated with this construction. But to me, they're doing an excellent job. They're moving fast. The traffic is moving. There's not a problem. So that would be my pet peeves. Keep the traffic ahead of the people. I mean, the roads ahead of the people.
That's our pet peeve too.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's the
Don't
people
fix
we.
it till it's broke. You got to have an F grade for a year or 2 before they even look at you.
Yeah.
Most times it's people, not city, but state agencies that we struggle with.
Are you
with that.
telling me we don't have control over that?
Yes, what I'm telling you, to a certain extent.
All right, I'll come up with another pet peeve.
No, the internal residential roads, new developments, we do have control over that. And we've worked on some of those things as a council and changed those guidelines.
I've been impressed
widened
with
them
how
up.
wide many roads are, without a lot of traffic yet. So like 1400, where I live, and even 198, there's so much width, there's room for growth, which is
The
beautiful.
problem is if it gets wide, you have to remove the snow and we have to keep it upkeep. And that's where it gets expensive. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, exactly.
Push pull. Thank you. We'll continue on with Gail. Turn you over to Teresa again.
Okay. What do you believe is the single most compelling issue facing Payson?
So as I've listened to everybody, the thought that has come to me is taking care of the youth. And really, growth is part of that. But the last thing we need is for them to continue staying completely in their video games. They're going to be adults at some point in time. And in order to do that, that means that there have to be things that they want to do, that they find enjoyable outside of the home in a safe environment. They love coming to the salmon supper, to onion days and those kind of things. But when you're there, the traffic is the challenge. As you mentioned before, downtown, your renovation of downtown, the tiny road is part of the big challenge. And so are we looking at putting in a parking structure somewhere in that area so that people can park and walk rather than trying to have to negotiate through crowds and throngs of little kids and young moms moving kids through the area? So I think that would be one of my thoughts of the more compelling issues to address.
So how do we keep a hometown feeling?
You just stole mine.
That wasn't my question. Oh,
I'll ask it a different way.
And you get to ask it before him.
yeah.
So I think our park is huge for that. Anytime you have something that stands for a long time, it makes a big difference. The band in the park every summer evening or Sunday evening and during the summer, the choral, community chorale, those kind of the theater program where people are involved and engaged. I think that really brings a real hometown feeling. And so again, that gets back to how are you going to deal with parking and making those things accessible and safe. And I'm going to throw out a thought that I had from a previous question of how do we get people involved? And I wrote it down just a minute ago. I think you do city council in the park sometimes where you hold it a little bit later during the summer evening and you have the speakers up, you have food there like Kepi is encouraged, and bring them on. Have a mic out that people can talk.
That'd be great.
Great idea.
Get some ideas.
So
Maybe they'd
Maybe call
come.
it a town hall meeting.
Yeah, in the
Mhm.
park.
down hall in the park. And we've got a great park for it. And the city folks who take care of the trees, it's a tough job for trees that big to keep them healthy, and they do a real good job.
They do.
So Dr. Skousen, I'm going to come in that through the back door. Seems to be a lot of focus on that hometown feel. But yet the governor's office, when we were up to the state legislature, the governor's office is forecasting that Payson will double in population by 2060.
The first time I heard that was when Revere Health talked about putting their clinic in the middle of a field. And I said, you guys have to be nuts. And they says, no, it's going to be the center of population. And I'm blessed to have gone to my father-in-law's this last 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he was honored in the city council that he had participated in. And they gave him some time to talk. And one of the things that he really stressed was early on, they had made very serious efforts to attract some large, healthy businesses into the area to build the tax base. So that then once the tax base was built, they could make sure that they had funds available to make other parks, to make areas where people wanted to congregate, not just in the main park, the old park, but other parks and other things, so that all the dollars that came in, they were always divided and balanced out to do different functions. And I think having that kind of foresight made a big difference for the community that he was in. And I think the same thing is true here. There is land for growth. A disadvantage that I have that others clearly have been a part of being on the planning commission as long as they have. I don't know how many of these thoughts have been thought about and worked at. And so I don't want to sound like these are things that aren't being worked at, but I think that's part of it. You've got to build a tax structure that can support keeping places for people to come together and do things. The Hewish Theater that Mike Hardy has talked about is a big deal, and it's nice to see the community, the different businesses participating in that.
Thank you. That answer's good.
That was a good question.
Yep. Thank you, Teresa.
You had to think of it real fast.
No, I wrote.
I
had it
know,
written
I
down.
know. I watched you. I watched you. Okay.
Lacey, I got a humdinger for you.
Okay. And you've bounced around this question, but I'd like you to put it in a focused manner. What do you hope to accomplish? If you were a city council member, what do you hope to accomplish?
When I walked in last week and saw the individuals who were applying for this position, my concerns about why I would apply went away. I didn't want there to not be somebody that would benefit the city. And so the first thing that I would want to accomplish is continue that kind of involvement of these kind of incredible individuals. I think Kepi's recommendation, I think it was Kepi that talked about answering people's questions on Facebook right away, getting them involved right away, having individuals from the council, if I were here, I would be happy to do this, having a booth at each of the different summer activities where people can stop in and ask questions, throw out ideas, just have some protection around you in case they're really mad at you. So I don't know if that answers the question precisely. It continues to walk around it a little bit, I think.
Thank you.
Okay, what 3 words would best describe you?
My wife would say workaholic. And so that's going to be one of them. Then I like to listen, and not just listen to what people say, but to what their body language says. And then I went through challenges early in my life, and I learned that to be a decision maker, you have to recognize that there's always going to be somebody who believes your decision is the best decision in the world. And there's also going to be somebody who thinks it's the stupidest decision in the world, regardless of what the decision was. And you have to feel comfortable with that decision. So I guess last thing would be the ability to make decisions.
Thank you.
Did we answer your questions this time too?
You point blank asked them. I'll just move back up to the 3 greatest strengths of Payson City. What are 3 things that you think are the foundation that make our city great?
So the first time that question came up, the immediate answer in my mind was the people, and the people.
Good answer.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Okay, Lacey, you're up. We'll turn you over to Teresa.
Okay. What do you believe is the single most compelling issue facing Payson?
I'm glad you asked that question. So obviously everyone's kind of hit on growth, but with growth, you then structure down that there's so many things under growth. And I think that to me, seeing what I hear from people online, my own personal experience, just, finally in my 30s, deciding one day this stuff's important and I need to be educated on it. I think with the growth is there are a lot of different opinions or understanding of things as the growth comes. And so a big thing with the growth for me is I see online a lot is that people aren't being educated. If a decision was made, even a little explanation as to why. Of course, you can't, please everyone. But sometimes when you hear the reasoning behind a decision, it can really start to help someone look into it and figure out, in the long term, what that decision will really do for the community.
So how do we keep the hometown feeling?
I do agree with everyone on the different community things that are done. I feel like kind of how you said, you could be in a big city and you could be in a little city and you could be in a little city and not feel like it's a hometown. Just keeping the, like the kind community, keeping the things that we have already. I love our canyon. I just, bought my first horse a week ago, and like, I just want to get up to that trail, or, and just different things like that. And in many towns in Utah, you can't just do that behind your back door. And so just things. And also I feel like I loved when you guys put out the poll for the downtown of what people wanted, things like that, again, to get more people involved and hearing what others, I mean, we just heard from 7 people of how to do it. And so if you can get more people involved and more ideas, you can start to expand more of knowing what people think that a community, like a small town community is. So.
Lacey.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned your in the email that you sent.
I did.
Okay. And by the way, I read every email, and
thank you.
Quite frequently I respond to every one of them. But I will confess a major sin of my generation. I don't even have a Facebook account, period. I don't believe in it. I'm just sorry. I've seen too many problems with it. You know what? There's a pro and con.
A pro and con.
So my generation, no. But you mentioned your generation.
Mm-hmm.
You can and should be involved. As a council member, what would be your generational vision of Payson? Number one. And number two, moving forward, you mentioned social media.
Mm-hmm.
What would you bring to the table with your social media ideas?
Well, I can tell you, Bob, that I found out about that Dutch Bros before anyone knew. And I have a little South Utah County mom group on Facebook, and I made sure all the ladies knew there was a Dutch Bros coming to Payson. I'm friends with some people that work at Dutch Bros, and they first thought, I was going to go to a neighboring town, and then a little bird told me a secret, and I, was watching, and I knew exactly where it was going to go. And so I think a big thing is I feel like people, again, they reach out to social media. You hear someone say like, I heard sirens. What is that? That's the very first thing people do. And so to me is not only social media, but there are some people in my generation that social media can hurt. And so a community, some kind of a community resource to get more involvement. I really do think that it is about educating the generations that are going to live here for, 20, 30 years to come, and them understanding right now, if you want to know what 20 to 30 years Payson's going to look like, now's the time to get involved, not in 20 to 30 years. And so I think that would be a big thing for me, is getting that out there to those that want to be here for 20, 30 years, and eventually this be their final resting place, and let them know that you can make a change and this is how you do it, and be involved, come to the meetings, send an email, pay attention, these are your resources. And so hopefully that kind of gives you, but if I like to answer some things on social media if I know it, but I also don't want to like overstep my place, especially if I didn't know the right answer. So this way I might know the right answer.
Hey, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I might steal Brett's thunder here.
Uh-oh.
What do you believe are the 3 greatest strengths of Payson City?
I still think that it is a great town to raise a family. There's a lot of towns that you can't say that anymore. Personally, as a mom, I wouldn't raise a family in certain towns. I still think that a strength of Payson City is that it's still affordable for a lot of people that want to have that dream of a home ownership. And I moved to Payson City because I was a single mom, and that's where I could afford a home. And so here I came, and then I've just expanded. And I think the other thing too is it's just a very caring community. I do feel like if someone is in need, someone's always willing to help out and not be worried about if it was the right or like the wrong decision to do. Because I know a lot of people get burned these days when you're helping people out. And so I just think it's still a very caring community. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With the same question.
Okay.
What do you consider to be your 3 greatest strengths?
Okay. I'm a very passionate person, maybe sometimes a little too much. Very dedicated. To some, it may mean nothing, but to me, it's big that I, finished a bachelor's with 2-year-old twin girls. I finished a master's with, while being single, then remarrying and have a 1-year-old little baby. So to me, I'm very dedicated. If I put my head to it, I'm going to finish and I'm going to do it. And so that's a big one for me. And sometimes people tell me opposite, but I keep getting every week, a certain person tells me all the time, you are one of the most caring people that I know. And so, don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. So I do truly care and love people, and I want to help as many people as I can and whatnot. And so that's probably the 3.
Good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to the pet project. Do you have one? What do you want to accomplish on city council?
Honestly, something that recently and then it just kind of sparked into my head while here. I would love to have some kind of more community resources of, when I was a stay-at-home mom for a little bit, the library had mom and toddler groups, like reading things like that, or you have like the kids, to kind of keep the kids involved, but also even a little resource center for, I'm a mom to 12-year-old twin girls, and I can tell you what they see at 12, I saw at 20. And some kind of resources for these kids to go to, especially in the summer when they don't have that safety at a school to go to. I think that's really big right now. And I really feel like not many places offer anything like that. And whenever you hear someone that is reaching out for help and needs that help, they reach out for a reason and they don't have the time to find it when it's not easily findable. And a lot of resources these days are not easily accessible. So, whether it be a YMCA kind of, thing that some cities do have or something, I just think there needs to be more of community resources for not only our younger generation, but every generation, that they have something so they don't feel helpless. So.
Good.
Okay. Well, I believe that's, unless there's other council members that would like to ask follow-up questions, I think that concludes our interview process. Thank you for being here. It's not an easy process to go through. So what I believe our plan is we will take some time to consider all the questions from each one of you candidates, and it's a plan that maybe we'll do it before next council meeting.
Next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday.
Week from today.
You guys get only a week to worry.
Yeah, when we did
I
it
had-
before, it'd been 2 weeks.
I had 2 weeks.
Well, they kind of have had 2 weeks too, kind of, sort of.
Well, yeah, I guess.
They just didn't get quizzed.
Last time they didn't get talked.
And by the way, we apologize about last week. It just was a perfect storm where the stars just didn't line up.
Yep. Best laid plans sometimes don't come to fruition. So thank you so very much for coming and enduring our questions.
Great
Thank
candidates.
you.
Thank you. Do we need to go to closed session?
Dave, do we need that closed session?
It'd be
Okay.
great. It won't take long.
Okay, wonderful.
Seconded.
Okay, all roll call again. Roll call. Council Hyatt. Council Prosgaard.
Yes.
Council Carter.
Yes.
And Council Christensen.
Yes.
Okay. We're adjourned to a closed session.